My dad was really worried about the effects of the medicines and what if I, later in life decided that wasn't the path that I wanted to go down.
I had some concerns, and there were some things about me that kind of bothered me a little bit. We have these educated doctors offering kids who are at a young age some options that I'm not really sure should have been available to them. I was really kind of surprised and put off by it, quite honestly.
Because I was only 13, he didn't want me to make a life decision like that at this age. It was still hard. I couldn't really see why. It was horrible. I felt like my dad, he didn't love me. I felt like he didn't want me to be this way.
I didn't want her to think that she could make some changes to her outward appearance and then suddenly everything would be fine and, she would just move on from there and life would be great. I think there are a lot of other implications to this than just, the few that you're focusing in on right now.
But Kyle is still hoping to start testosterone. And although his father remains concerned, he's agreed to go to Lurie's gender clinic for the first time to learn more about hormone treatments.
Okay, over here, sweetie. Heels all against the wall.
Cross-sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone, used to be given only to adults, but treatment guidelines established in 2009 now include children, though they do not recommend starting before the age of 16.
All right. All right, have a seat in the chair for me.
The age limits, which used to say 18, now are 16. Now you're seeing people starting cross-sex hormones at 15 or 14. And with the changes in the age of onset come some challenges to care that I think teams need to be very savvy about.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Hi. Dr.
Yes.
Chen, good to see you again.
Hey, Dr. Chen, how are you?
I mean, I think, the big decision that families have to make when they embark on cross-sex hormones is that now you're not hitting a pause button, right? So when you move on to cross-sex hormones, you're now initiating medical therapy where some of the changes that are going to take place are permanent. And that's a whole other ball of wax, I think, for some of these families, and that can be really hard. So when we think about medications, if we're going to go the route of medications, there's two kinds. One are medications that sort of block progression through puberty. The other medicines that you could use would be right to going to sort of what we call cross-sex hormones, or in this case, it would be sort of testosterone.
There are plenty of drugs that get approved by the FDA, and everybody goes on their merry way and thinks things are great, and then 2 years later, people are dropping dead from
right, and this
one
is
thing
really
or another.
So I'm actually going to pull up a stool so I can sit and face you. Okay. So testosterone as a medication has been around, obviously, for a long time. The way we would consider using it here, sort of for in a cross-sex sort of way, there aren't a tremendous amount of studies that have been done to document all the potential side effects and the risks and benefits. But I think in general, it's fairly well tolerated. Some of the changes, again, are permanent and some sort of aren't. And I think those are the things that kind of freak people out. But you think of things like, hair loss of the temples, facial hair growth, deepening of the voice, all things that go along with sort of a male sort of hormone. You're going to have increased muscle development. So some of it's going to be things that he'll, want. But some of them, the things that you want to look out for are things like acne, mood changes, and then all the risk factors that go along with a typical male predisposition. So things like heart disease, stroke, those kind of things. Males are more likely to have heart disease than females. Males are more. We're asking families to take some leaps of faith based upon the child that they have in front of them and really what we don't know with regard to some of the long-term consequences of these medications. I mean, if you look at our consent forms, they're fraught with vague language and may, could. We know very little about things that are really important to families like fertility, like cancer potential or oncologic potential of these agents, cardiac risk. I mean, things that are like families want to know when they're making decisions about their children. I mean, there definitely is the potential for the testosterone or the cross-sex hormones to prevent sort of normal, what do we call normal fertility to sort of occur. Have you ever thought about having kids yourself? We're sort of asking you to be really grown up really quickly, you know, when you make these decisions, and that's what's tough. But I want you to really think through some of the stuff we're talking about here. Like, does that make sense?
I don't really know. I would like to have kids, maybe someday, but...
You know, if, you know, you're saying, you know, I might want to have my own kid one day, then I think it's probably a good thing for you and your parents to sort of at least get some information and find out whether sort of preserving your fertility might be something that you're interested in.
Up till now, it's been things that were reversible. You won't change your name. We can refer to you as he and him, and sure, fine. But at 13, I don't think she'll change her mind, but you have to think a little bit more about that. I mean, those are things that your parents should be there for, to help you be as certain as you can about a decision that, you know, later in life could have a huge impact. So there's a lot to think about. Do you feel better now?
I don't envy these parents. I mean, I think they're making decisions in a very difficult environment. I mean, I know that we do informed consent, but really, I mean, how realistic is it to believe that a 14 or 15-year-old or 16-year-old has really the capacity to make that kind of decision for him or herself? But at the same time, to deny them, that's tough. I mean, this is tough stuff.
Online is a great place for trans people.